Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another of Todd Klindt's SharePoint Netcast. This one almost didn't happen again like last week. I'm Todd Klindt. Oh, and this is Netcast 197. You'll find out in a minute here why this is all shoddy. I'm the host, Todd Klindt. This is some random bum off the street. He said he wanted food, so I bought him a burger, and then to earn his money, I had him come sit in with us. So.
More importantly, you bought me some onion rings to go with my burger. That was very exciting. So,
yeah, so he's,
I'm Shane Young.
He's my friend for life now.
You just said I was your friend for life. This is the best day ever.
It's called acting. It's acting. There's a camera. There's an audience.
It's like the Bachelorette where they don't really get married at the end.
Exactly. We're not getting married, and we're not doing anything you suggested. It's not legal here anymore. So again, Netcast 197. We're here at SP TechCon. When we get here in a minute, we'll talk about why this is not the normally polished, fine work that you guys are used to listening to and watching. But I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Rackspace, who pays both of our salaries. So that's nice of them, and who we're here representing this week. So they've made all this possible. Bought us all this machinery that's not working, and so that's. But thanks. So go out to SharePoint.rackspace.com. Now, what is the name of that game out there this week?
Banana Blast. Oh, what is the name this week?
Yes.
This week we're calling it Orange Dart Game. Orange Dart Game.
And notice how Shane mispronounces orange.
I'm from Georgia. Thank you very much.
So that's adorable, Peaches.
Southern Belle.
So go out to SharePoint.rackspace.com. There's all kinds of great stuff out there, white papers and videos and stuff, and then the
Orange Dart Game.
Orange Dart Game.
I don't even understand.
You can play that, and it's work related, right? So it's at SharePoint.rackspace.com, so you can't get in trouble.
Yeah.
We find a loophole, so you're good to go. SharePoint.rackspace.com. So we'll go on to production notes. So production notes, we'll go ahead and start with this week's. So I'm at SP TechCon this week, and I'm doing this thing live because a couple years ago saw a Scott Hanselman blog post, and he was talking about how you have to be consistent when you do podcasts and all that. So I kind of took that to heart and tried to step up the number of these that I do every year. Fewer excuses. So I try to do it when I'm on the road, and tonight's been nothing but a mitigated failure.
So on the bright side, you'll have 30 minutes of production notes next week to talk about all the trials and tribulations.
Which is almost as late as we are tonight. So we started about 35 minutes late tonight. So all the people in the chat room who I can't see because of all the problems, they've been patiently waiting in there for this. But we're at SP TechCon. We're at downtown San Francisco, the Hilton Union Square, something or another.
Sounds about right.
Got a street there with a name, O'Fallon.
Bunch of scary stuff. Wait, no, scary stuff's that way.
I'll go that way. And so we're doing this live, but of course, when I do this at home, I've got my netcasting equipment, my machine and all that kind of stuff, and everything just flows, except for how it didn't last week. But then we've got all these new machines. I put Windows 8.1 on here, reinstalled this machine. We didn't have any software. None hardware drivers are here. So I didn't have a chance to work on any of my notes or anything.
Apparently the upgrade to your Razor didn't work.
I think the stubble makes me look kind of sexy, don't you think? No. Come on. I mean, look in the light, maybe. With the...
And what is that? 2 weeks? 3 weeks worth?
I started in February, right after Valentine's Day.
Oh.
So that's why everything's a little off kilter tonight. So we didn't get a chance to look at the notes much, or really make much for notes. But
I typed. No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
Darn it.
So last week, Lori, remind me what went wrong last week. Why did I have to start over?
It locked up and stopped recording, and you had to start the recording over.
Yeah. So last week, the final version that you guys saw was actually the second version. I started and got about 10 or 12 minutes in and realized it wasn't recording. Oh, that's right, it didn't record. Yeah. So I bought, because I care about you guys, I bought a new camera and used it for the first time last week. Well, what I didn't notice when I record this with a Logitech software, and we couldn't get it to run anywhere, so you didn't get to see it. But when you hit the video button, it counts down 3, 2, 1, and the video starts to record. So last week, new camera, plugged it in, hit the button, 3, 2, 1. I went over to the stream to make sure that was going. What I didn't notice was that the recorder actually never started recording. It did the countdown, it got to 0, and just stopped. And it didn't do anything. So I didn't notice it for about 10 minutes. And then I looked over to see how long into the show I was, and I was 0 into the show because I wasn't recording. So the people in the chat room, again, last week, very patient. I started all over. They laughed at all of my jokes the second time around. So that was, and I thought last week, I'm like, whoa, well, I'm out of the woods. No more problems now. And then this week happened. I can't wait to see what happens next week.
They still love you, don't worry.
Well, they don't love me any less is the important thing.
Yeah. Other than your mom.
Start, saw her this weekend. Brought me some candy. It was kind of nice. Yeah.
I saw her house is almost done. So
Yeah, that's... Shane and my mom are friends on Facebook. It's kind of weird, kind of creepy. But
we have all kinds of conversations. So
it's not weird that you're my mom's friend, but this, yeah. And it's kind of got the Eddie Haskell thing. Hey, Mrs. Klindt,
all right, next topic.
Yeah. So next week hopefully I'll be back in my... Now, one thing, and I was going to show it this week, but I'm here, obviously. Did some stuff. You don't ever watch this, except you don't even watch it when you're on it.
I've never watched it.
Not a single episode. He reads the recaps online and all that. So I've got a better background now. Lori helped with that. I've got the sheets up. I've got lighting now. The lights up. And I was going to show all that off this week, except I'm here and it's all there. Next week, though. Next week, will be all the regular equipment, the new background, the lights and everything. And I took a picture of where the lights were a week ago, so I know everything's shining in the spot. It's going to be good stuff.
The girls are almost old enough. They should be down there in charge of placement for that stuff now.
I could put them to work, yeah. They've tried to get on camera a couple times.
I mean, Snoopy's been on camera, so...
Snoopy. He's been on... So for those of you that haven't had the pleasure, I don't know if you've seen it or not, if you haven't caught every episode, I've got a cat whose real name is Ingve, but Shane can't pronounce that, so he calls him Snoopy.
Orange.
Yeah, it's back to the whole orange thing. So he's gotten up in the background of some of the netcasts, and then with the thing that we recorded. One of my favorite times was I was in a meeting with some folks. I don't know if you were in this one or not, but my desk comes to an L, and he got in the back over my shoulder while I was in this meeting, webcam, go to meeting sort of thing, and he started cleaning himself. I mean, just going to town, so I'm trying to talk to these people, and I don't look at my own video very much because it just makes everybody else look bad because I'm such a handsome specimen. So I try not to focus on that. And I just kind of with the corner of my eye, I see that leg up in the air. And you hate to interrupt the guy, right? I mean, he's probably almost done. But so fortunately, he's never done that for a netcast. But
that's Snoopy for you. I don't know what else to say.
The camera loves him. He's a natural. He just brings it out in him. So yeah, hopefully maybe he'll be back next week. We can do all that. But this week and last week are no indication of this, but I'm trying to improve the production value.
Clearly,
step things up a little bit.
Having guest stars. I mean, this is helping.
Yep. So as you can tell from my notes, because I did get the number in here, I'm edging up on number 200. I'm getting really close to 200. You would think at some point we would cross that threshold into this not being an amateurish. I've been doing it for over 5 years now. Last month was my 5th anniversary. Wow. So you would think at some point this would start to gel and be a real life.
Now, are there big plans for show number 200?
So the thing is, I think 200 is going to happen at TechEd. And so I don't think there's going to be any way. It's going to be another one of these deals, but it's going to be like you and I in my bathtub or something. So I might skip that week and do 200 the week after that. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe
200 from the bathtub. I don't know. It's got a ring to it.
Rolls off the tongue. Or maybe like that one will be 199 and a half, and then do 200 the next week. I don't know. We'll see. But I think that's the way it's going to work out. I'd have to map it out. But 200 episodes.
I'm very proud.
200 episodes.
Very proud.
So yeah, but we'll. Anyway, so we've wasted 8 minutes of these fine folks' time already. Let's talk about some technical stuff. Now again, I apologize in advance. The topics are all over the place. There's no. It's even worse than normal. There's no rhyme or reason because we spent all the time. Well, I spent all the time trying to make this work. He spent all the time playing with his new phone. So we don't. It's just kind of shoddy notes, random and all that. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was something I stumbled across last week. If you're in Windows, now I did this in Windows 8, but I assume it works in lesser versions of Windows.
Usually does.
If you're in Explorer, someplace that's got some great PowerShell scripts or something in it, and you're just thinking, man, I run an open PowerShell right here and run that script, but then you got to do the thing and the CD and all that. Did you know that if you go to the address bar in Explorer and type PowerShell, it will open PowerShell in that window? Right wherever you're at. Did you know that?
I did.
He did not.
Windows has been doing that for about 10 years now.
PowerShell hasn't been out for 10 years. You are lying.
You can type Notepad into Windows XP right there and it fire right up.
How does it fire up in that directory?
It's magic.
Shut up. I don't even know what that means. But anyway, so for those of you who didn't know that it did that, and Shane didn't know either, don't let him fool you. If you do have a repository of scripts or something, you can just go there, clickety click, 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 in the address bar, type PowerShell, and Oh, see, now Jeff in the chat room, he didn't know. He just spewed an expletive. Nobody see.
You have an uneducated audience. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, my. Are you guys going to put up
The
with that?
hate mail I'm about to
Give
get.
him heck. Yeah, Lori's going to throw her shoe at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, is this where you should give them the disclaimer about not running PowerShell that you just randomly find on the internet?
Yes.
That's kind of where the story really broke down for me. Like, if you found some PowerShell on the internet and you just wanted to run it, no!
Don't do that. Now, but that does bring me to an interesting thing, and since you seem to have all the answers, maybe you'll know the solution to this. Every time I've ever done that, not downloaded something off the internet and ran that, that's a completely different type of netcast. That's like, After Dark.
The cat.
The unfiltered, yeah. But when I run PowerShell through that, it doesn't run it in admin mode. So if I'm doing anything with SharePoint, it's not in admin mode.
So I bet if you ran your browser as an administrator, it would then launch the PowerShell window as an administrator.
If you run Explorer as administrator, test that out.
Oh, our lovely assistant is...
Or you can test it out. So that's the only thing.
busy here.
You're busy offending the chat room there. You can't be bothered.
Can you mute Shane?
God, if I could, jeez. But so Mark's saying it works with CMD too. Now with that one, Mark, you can hold down Shift and right click, and then I think there's an option in the context menu to open up CMD. But I'd never seen anything for PowerShell, or maybe that's copy as path. There used to be maybe a PowerToy that did that, but for CMD. Yeah. Mark is asking, is there such a thing as sudo in PowerShell? There is sudo running as a different user, but I don't think if you're in an unelevated PowerShell prompt, you can elevate it inside of that prompt. But I don't know. I've never tried.
That's a process thing.
Yeah. That seems like that would be a security thing they would try to prevent. But that was kind of cool. I've got a lot of PowerShell stuff. I do a bunch of that kind of thing, and it was kind of cool to see that I could do that. And now I'll just have to crack that code and figure out how to run it in admin mode so we can do really destructive things.
Formatting your computer is one step away.
I actually do have a PowerShell that formats all the drives. Well, formats all of the uninitialized drives. Because, setting up servers, you add drives, they don't show up, so I've got a PowerShell snippet to walk through every drive that shows up as raw, initialize it, turn it on, format it, do all that. I can do that.
It's very similar to your script that is where content database equals SharePoint underscore config. Right. For those of you that are wondering, if you use the equal sign, what happens, Todd?
Magic. Fireworks.
It was magic, that's true.
How did all my databases get to be renamed SharePoint underscore config? SharePoint's credit, it kept chugging along. It didn't skip a beat.
Well, on Thursday we have a PowerShell session, so I'm going to tell the story.
That is a heartwarming story of idiocy. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. I should maybe blog that drive one because that's kind of a good one too for setting up servers, stuff like that. Because I've used it for SQL servers because you have your D drive for data, you have all these drives, and I click into the mouse, my finger starts to get my shoulder starts hurting. I'm not a young man anymore.
That's true.
There's one. Let's string them all together. So that's pretty good stuff. So another thing that I don't have open in the browser, so we can't talk to it terribly intelligently, is this online PowerShell script thing that you can bolt into the PowerShell ISE. And for those of you in the chat room, normally I post this stuff in there, but we're running on about 17 different machines here, so I can't actually paste one to the other. Lori can. So it's a script browser. It came out and it's on the Windows PowerShell blog. If you're not already subscribed to the Windows PowerShell blog, you should do that. Lots of great stuff there. That's the link. But then the title is A World of Scripts at Your Fingertips. And so it's a great way. It links up online. You can search for stuff if you want to do disks, for instance. Search for disk, shows you scripts that do that kind of stuff. So that script that I'm so proud of, there's probably a much better one out there.
Hey, on the bright side, I did not know about this.
No.
I finally
you didn't
learned
know
something.
about the last one either.
14 minutes in the show, I finally got something out
of here. You had none of that. You probably don't even know what PowerShell is.
SP Jeff there said new SP session with the dash, or new PS session with the dash credential switch. So if you want to jump from one PowerShell session to the other in admin mode. So you can't elevate the prompt, but you can fire another session.
But it's not a credential issue, it's the administrative thing.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's the replacement for sudo. That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, you can do the but
Switch
you can't.
your user. Just switch to SP farm from SP install or something good.
Yeah, run something as. Yeah. You can do all that, but I don't know how to do the elevated prompt without.
There you go.
So, yeah, we'll find out. I obviously hadn't thought about that before this, but yeah, that would be interesting to figure out. We lost our notes.
Yeah.
So check those scripts out. I would talk more about those, but I didn't get a chance to read through them before.
10,000 different scripts.
Nearly 10,000. So that's like 3 out of 4 dentists. It's not quite 4, not quite all of the dentists, but yeah, nearly 10,000.
It's like more apps than we have in the Windows App Store, isn't it?
Oh, certainly. Absolutely.
Cracking on my own phone.
More than the app, the Windows Store, the Windows Phone Store, and the SharePoint Store combined and
Nokia 1020, 43 megapixels of pure power.
43, 44, whatever it takes.
Nearly 44.
Nearly 44 megapixels. Hey, there you go. Those manager classes where you learn how to market and all that, paying off.
Yeah.
So check that out. More PowerShell is always better. So the next thing that I want to we'll talk about phone, and we'll actually spend a little bit of time on this because there's been a lot of phone stuff that I could be talking about. One of the new things with Windows Phone 8.1 is if you have a newer one of them I think that has the Snapdragon chipset, which my 920, my beloved 920, does not have, and I don't think your 1020 and your Steam-powered one doesn't have it either.
That's the whole family, right? There's 900.
I got a 520 in there. Oh,
Nokia commercial right here.
Yep. If it's got like a 1520, like Jared in the chat room, if he hasn't given up on us yet, he's got a 1520, and if you get Windows Phone 8.1 on there, and he's probably going to need the firmware stuff, so he's going to have to wait a little bit, but it does wireless video. So it does like the Miracast thing. I think it's either Miracast or WiDi, one of the two. And if you go into the 920, it's got all the options there, but when we try to turn it on, it says, hey dummy, your chipset doesn't support this. Plug in a USB cable. Now, it seemed like kind of a non sequitur, right? You're plug it like what? Yeah. So it turns out the reason for that is because if your chipset doesn't support it, there's an app that will do it for you. So you can actually run an app on your phone or on your PC if you're connected with USB that will project your phone's screen on your PC. So like if we were doing a session on accessing SharePoint with Windows Phone, I could fire up the old 920 with the cable and show that up on the screen and project it.
Nice.
So for those of us who don't have the new phones that have the Miracast or WiDi built in, this is another way to do it. Free app. And Lori, the link? So it's at a website that I'm sure we all go to daily, monkeyslaps.com.
I get a monkey slap, but not the slaps once.
So all I can say about monkeyslaps.com is I've read exactly one article, so Lord only knows what else is out there. I can't. But this was linked off of WP Central. But that's pretty cool. So you can protect your. Because that's always been something for people who want to do any kind of session about iPhones or Windows phones or whatever, getting it off the thing. You get projectors and lights and all that. Well, now it's just built right into the phone. You can just clickety click. So that was a nice one. I haven't tried yet, but I'm sure it's
a little disturbed by this website.
A little disturbed, a little curious, maybe. No one's judging you. We're all friends here. So another cool thing that showed up in Windows Phone 8.1, and I'm pretty sure this is new. I didn't notice it in 8.0. Chat room can shout it out if they're wrong, if I'm wrong. But I listen to a lot of podcasts on my phone, and the whole podcast, music thing, and all that got completely rejiggered in Windows Phone 8.1. Some for good, some for bad. But one of the things that I noticed listening to podcasts a couple days ago is you can now play them at 1.5 or twice speed. And I don't think you could do that in 8.0. Could you do that in 8.0? No. Paul says you couldn't do it in 8.0. So now if I'm listening to Wait, Don't Tell Me, or the Monkey Slaps podcast, if I'm if I've got a 30-minute podcast but only 20 minutes of drive, I can hit the button, and the way it shows the 1.5x, and it's like grayed out. And if you hit it, then it activates it. And it does the thing where it doesn't make me sound like Alvin in the Chipmunks, which is kind of cool. But if you hit it again, there's like a little hidden thing. It cranks it up two times. So you can plow through my show in 20 minutes or something like that.
Is there 2 minutes worth of content in your show?
Not even a little. Especially not this week. Last week wasn't bad after we started recording it. It turned out to be a pretty good one.
So have you actually tried listening to like a podcast? I know some of your other listeners actually listen to them on double speed and stuff on a regular basis. I've never tried it. I just can't imagine.
I did. So I also listened to a podcast called Surface Geeks, which is all about surfaces, as you can imagine. And I listened to that one at 1.5 speed. And it wasn't, again, it fixes the frequency so it doesn't sound, but the cadence is off. Because I've listened to that one for a while, so I kind of got the speech flows figured out. So it took a little getting used to because just everything sounded different, but it was listenable. It was okay. The other cool thing, and I don't know how many of you guys use the podcast app, but I listen to it in my phone or in my car all the time. So it does the Bluetooth, all that. The podcast app on Windows Phone, if you hit next, like on my steering wheel, so to go to the next track or whatever, it doesn't do that. It skips ahead 30 seconds. So if somebody's got a podcast that's got commercials or something in, or they're talking about a topic you don't care about, on my steering wheel, I can just hit the seat button and skip 30 seconds. So that's pretty slick. Yeah. One of the new things that they added to the podcasting app is now you don't have the directory that you used to have. Now it's search-based. It's like Bing, sort of. And oddly, if you search for SharePoint, my podcast doesn't show up.
It's because you stole their copyrighted word.
Yeah, I'm blacklisted. And so SharePoint is not in my podcast title because I'm afraid of going to jail and all the things that come. I've seen movies. I know what happens to guys like me. Pretty guys like me, when they show up in jail, it's bad. That I have to go find the toughest guy and beat him up, and that's. Yeah.
I'm letting this topic just go right on. Just moving on. I've moved on.
So I don't have it in the title anymore, but it is the first word of my description.
Yep.
It's like SharePoint MVP, Todd Klindt, blah, blah, blah. Search for SharePoint, I don't show up.
That sucks.
Yeah, but if I search for Todd, I show up. I'm like, hit number 17. So, I know I'm in there, but...
Ask Cortana. Maybe she can find you.
Cortana cannot. Cortana's not helpful.
But she knows why a chicken crossed the road?
She does. She can tell you a story. That's my favorite. So there's a bunch of new podcast stuff. I don't know what the search thing is. And it used to be, I used to know the guy at Microsoft I could talk to about that, but he's since left. It was Rob Greenlee, and he's not there anymore. So I don't know who to talk to find out what I need to do to get...
How to cheat the system?
Well, not how to cheat the system, but there's either something about my description that's not being indexed, or... Because clearly they're not just indexing the titles. That would be ridiculous. They got to be indexing.
Descriptions adds a lot of metadata to the whole...
Yeah, and I don't want to... I don't want to cheat. I want to play by the rules. I just want to know what the rules are. That's all.
It's so sweet. I would cheat.
You would in a heartbeat. But that's kind of cool. Do you listen to any podcasts?
I just posted in there that, no, I've listened to precisely one and watched precisely one.
What about you, Paul? You listen to any podcasts on this phone? Lots. Do you have any podcasting tips for...
The podcast app in 8.1 sucks.
It sucks.
Because it hangs all the time.
So that might be about the podcast you're listening to. that might be your phone saying, Paul, you can do better than this.
No.
So we have somebody else from the audience here. He's got a Windows 8.1 phone. Anything else about it that I should mention? Besides, Paul says it locks up all the time.
Locks up all the time. No. They've added a refresh per podcast.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that before in the videos and music app.
That's true. Yeah. So and I guess if any of this makes any sense to you, you've probably already played with this. But in Windows 8, podcasts were part of the music and videos app hub thing, sort of. And it was kind of clumsy, but I kind of got used to it. It wasn't bad. But you couldn't refresh just one podcast, like Paul said. You had to go in and do them all. So now you can do that. But what I found is so their idea was, much like Android's done and all that, they're taking all these things that used to be part of the core OS, and they busted them all out so they can update them more frequently than they update the OS. And so podcast was one of those things. Well, one of the things I've noticed is with the old version, I would tell it to keep 3 of a series. I would say, download when I'm on Wi-Fi and keep 3 of everything. So whenever I would go into any podcast, there would be 3 in there, and if I'd watched or listened to them, they'd be dimmed. Now it shows all of them, unless I go into every single one and say only show the ones that are downloaded, which kind of stinks.
Yeah, that's kind of...
And then the other thing that I don't know if you might know this, I don't know of any way, short of going into every single podcast, to see which podcasts have new episodes. Like I can't go, I would love to be able to go to a live tile and say, hey, there's 2 Wait Don't Tell Me's, or,
right.
But I don't know how to do that without going into every single one. But still playing with it a little bit, but the being able to play at 2 speed and skip 30 seconds is pretty good.
The room's getting awful chatty about these podcasts.
Power scripting. So Code Raven mentioned the Power Scripting podcast. That is a good one. I've been on that one. I was on that one a year or so ago. Those guys run a great one. Yep, that's good stuff. That's all about PowerShell. Those guys, and actually I got some kind of production tips from those guys, John and I forgot the other guy's name. Oh, starts with an H. Anyway, but those guys do a great one. Run as radio is another good one. I saw somebody mention that.
Did they bring you on purely to mock your PowerShell skills?
Yeah, certainly. They lulled me in like, hey, you're pretty cool, and then they really gave it to me. Great guys, though. They're salt of the earth.
Wonderful people.
I have to say that because John, the guy that's like the main guy, he's huge. He's like a bodybuilder, and he could crush my head.
So that
even bigger than you, if you can imagine.
Really?
Even bigger than that.
That's crazy.
I know. Believe it or not, that's the power scripting is a good one.
They told you it was.
Hal, yes. That's exactly it, Hal. I feel horrible, yes. And apparently our building's on fire or something. So that's good. So the podcasting apps got some improvement. But that kind of brings us to kind of a segue a little bit here. So Shane take the old one. So for the longest, Shane it has been a Windows Phone user. Did you get that the day that Windows Phone 7 came out?
Yeah. Well, the day this one came out, I waited for the Lumia.
Okay, that's
but
right.
I had two other Windows 7 phones. This was my third Windows 7 phone.
So Shane, so I started working SharePoint 901 in 2009, October 2009.
It was a sad day.
Oh my God. So I started there, and we were on Verizon.
Yep.
And so I had to get a new phone because I'd been on Sprint before that. And the only Verizon Windows phones were still running Windows Mobile 6.0. I think you couldn't even get, it was in that dark period where Microsoft didn't know what they're. So he was rocking a Windows Mobile 6 phone.
It was.
With the little screen that wasn't even a touch screen and all that, because he didn't want to get anything but a Windows Phone. And then waited until Windows Phone 7 came out. And the day that it came out, you got one of the other ones. I remember that. And they got the Lumia. But you've been using that Lumia, which is a Windows 7 phone, which we all know by now. You can't upgrade to 8. And you've been using that ever since until today. And you've loved it, the Lumia 900. No complaints.
Greatest phone ever. You use it as personal defense, right? It's rock solid. Battery still lasts all day, all these years later.
We're going to go out and beat some hobos with it. So, yeah.
It's an amazing phone, I'll just tell you. And beating hobos is against the law here.
I'd never thought to look that up. Huh. I have no idea.
Oh, but so, before that goes anywhere else, so now I have the fabulous.
The Nokia 1020. Yeah. So I've been, I switched over to the Nokia 920 last fall, September-ish, something like that. Loved it, been a raving fan of the Windows Phone. For 6 months or so now, and been trying to get Shane to upgrade to a Windows 8 one, and he's like, "Nah, the Windows 7 one's awesome. It's good." So it took the 1020. We got a 1020 for him.
Yep.
And he's had it for all of about an hour now.
I'm excited. It's the camera is really what I wanted.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yep. And the Nokia phone. So you got a Nokia. Paul, which one do you have?
I have a Nokia. Whatever is on Verizon.
Oh, so the Icon of the 928? 928. So really, I think Nokia is about the only people that make new Windows phones anymore, and they're Microsoft.
Well, the Samsung just came out with their Ativ.
Oh, that's right, the Ativ, yeah. So the Nokias for now, I don't think the new ones have this. Have the camera button at the top, and if the screen is locked, you can hold it down and it'll bring up the camera. And the camera software is amazing on that one. The hardware, the nearly 44 megapixels.
Nearly. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm excited. I don't know. Michael Gennady posts a lot of pictures. He takes, the broad picture and then he hyper zooms into spots in the picture. And if he's not doing some photoshopping, I'm really excited to do some of that.
Even on the 920s that we have, the pictures are great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the software is good. It's all very good. And Shane, you're not going to completely appreciate it because you skipped Windows 8, Windows Phone 8, so you went right to 8.1. But all the great camera apps, and that was something that was awesome with the Nokia. Was there's a built-in app, and then Nokia kept trickling out these new apps that did even cooler things, which are all built in now. So I think you're really gonna like it. So that's so I've been kind of schooling him on Windows Phone 8.1, some of the great things to pay attention to.
Yep.
There's Cortana. He's excited or curious about Cortana.
A friend, right? I can talk to her at night in my room. Cortana, tell me a bedtime story.
That will actually work. If you ask Cortana, tell me a story. She does have some stories queued up in there.
Was it a bedtime story? That's now.
I've never asked for a bedtime story.
I didn't ask for bedtime story.
Yeah, I've never.
Everyone wants to know.
Yep. So, and Cortana, for those of you that haven't played with it yet, is what they're calling it, digital assistant or whatever now. So the idea is you can speak real text or real natural language questions, and she will respond in kind. So it's been out for a week now. We got this last Monday. The Cortana, the idea behind it is solid. I like it, but the execution is not quite as functional as I need. So there's the great things like Joanne Klein was saying in the chat room that you can put reminders in. So you can say, Cortana, remind me to text my wife tomorrow. and she will do that, and she will know who the wife is and all that kind of stuff. So Joanne in the chat room, not texting my wife, though she would be fine, she's very friendly, but she said, Cortana, remind me at 7:30 tonight to watch Todd's show. And so at 7:30, Cortana's going to do that. So that kind of stuff's pretty cool. Asking Cortana questions is sort of helpful, but they haven't got the speaking stuff figured out yet. So if I ask Cortana, what's 4 plus 4? You would think that would be an easy one for Cortana to speak back, well, it's 8. But instead, she does a Bing search and then just shows the results on the screen. So that's kind of weak. So, I mean, it's cool that she can tell me why the chicken crossed the road, but I kind of feel like that's one of those things that you do after
the core stuff actually works.
Yeah,
I can see that argument.
But I mean, it's just a beta, so hopefully they'll do that. Now, I don't have a link handy, but Microsoft does have a page where you can put requests for functionality for Windows Phone 8.1. So they've got categories, and Cortana is one of them, so you can suggest whatever you'd like to see.
I did that for the 7 when it first came out. I never implemented my feature though, so I moved on.
What was your feature request?
I wanted the phone knows what area code a number calls from. Right, so when someone calls me from 513, 515. Sorry, when someone calls me from 515 and it's not in my address book, I want it to say this is coming from blah blah Iowa. Right? It knows where these phone numbers are coming from to a certain degree. It could save me some effort.
Yeah.
The only problem is they could spoof the phone numbers.
They could spoof it, or they could port
Voice.
it. So I can you can take your cellular number with you anywhere. So I could move to California and keep 515. Their Google Voice. My Google Voice number is a 325 number. It's a Florida number.
It'd give me 80% of what I wanted.
It would give you.
So I've always wanted that feature. It seems like
there is an
request
app for that, and I'm trying to think if for Android there certainly is. I think there is for Windows Phone as well. It will do, but it won't do exactly what you want, but it'll try to do a reverse lookup on the number. So it's the same kind of thing. Hit your screen. I don't know if anybody in the chat room has got that or not.
They haven't caught up yet.
Yeah, so sometime tomorrow evening when they get that. Mark in the chat room had a good idea about tying Cortana into a Wolfram Alpha. That might. So, Mr. Mobile, yeah, but I've seen something with that, and I thought there was something on Windows Phone because I thought I had it recently, but I just don't answer numbers, so I don't recognize them.
I don't either. And I don't answer when I do recognize. I don't answer my phone, quite frankly.
I talk very little on my phone, honestly. It's like a computer.
Does this one do the visual voicemail?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my 900 did the visual voicemail. I was making sure it wasn't a feature I lost.
No, it's in here.
Voicemail, yeah. That's a great Windows Phone feature.
Yeah, I think everybody's got that now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all very good. So that's good in 8.1. Yeah, so Joanne's talking about the Cortana 4 plus 4. She does search. So one of the things about Cortana is you can speak questions to her, and then she will translate your text and give you the answer. But the other thing is you can type questions to her. And Cortana is considerate enough that if you type a question, she will give you a text answer back. So that if you're sitting in a meeting and type, "Why is my boss such a jerk?" she doesn't speak out in the middle of the thing, "Your boss is a jerk because he was raised poorly." Just hypothetically. Hypothetically, I don't know anybody who's got a boss that's a jerk, but if such a thing were to happen. So if I speak something that's easy, like what is 4 plus 4, I would expect her to speak that back. But she just searches for it. So
She'll get it figured out.
Hopefully.
Microsoft's been interested in natural language for 15 years or 20 years at this point. So
yeah, that's the way. I mean, everything's going that way. My car's that way. I got a Ford Explorer. It's got that whole play Michael Bolton stuff that I use every day. So that.
My last couple of cars have had that. I've never used any of the talk to my car stuff.
I only use it for music, and the reason I use it for music is I've got a 64 gig USB drive, I mean, it's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of albums. I can't, drive and sift through it all. So, works pretty well. Play song, whatever, it works.
I don't listen to music, so I wouldn't understand.
Yeah, play artist Michael Bolton. Well, it works. Works for receiving Todd to go to specific stations.
NFL Network.
Yeah, so you never have to change anything.
I know.
Yeah. I've got a really hysterical story about our previous car and the voice recognition. Come on in! That involves my wife, but it's got a profanity. It's not nearly as funny without the profanity.
Yeah, you've already got in trouble. And someone's a little sunburned there.
Yeah.
What happens when you drive around with the top down?
Well, yeah. He drives around with his top off and gets arrested. That's a completely different thing. Mark Anderson just walked in and we're sort of saying hey to him. So what other Windows Phone things are you excited about? You don't have a Windows Phone, do you?
No.
You're still iPhone, aren't you?
I am.
Sad.
Disgusting.
Just pathetic. So what other...
I mean, I've had one for so long. I'm hoping all my regular. I like the way Exchange works, right? I like IE. I like mobile IE. I like my stupid games.
All your stupid games are there?
I hope so. I haven't checked. I got a new one I play. My wife calls it Farmville. It's Farmville with tanks and guns, though, so it's much cooler.
Excellent. I think it'll all be there. Paul, what's one of your favorite Windows Phone 8.1 tips that we haven't talked about?
Oh, Notification Center.
Oh, yeah, the Notification Center is pretty slick. So your 7.0 didn't have that. And Glance, too. We'll talk about that again. But now you can pull down from the top and get all your notifications. Now, this is something that every other smartphone platform except for BlackBerry has had forever. But what I like about it today, flying out here, got on the plane, they'll let you fiddle with your electronic stuff on the plane, but they want it in airplane mode.
There's a big button.
Right there. But the great thing about it is not only is that button there, but I can customize those 4 buttons to be anything I want. So if I don't travel, I can make that button whatever is useful to me. So that one works pretty well. So the Notification Center. Now, one thing I've noticed is the Notification Center can get kind of chatty. So having email and all that kind of stuff is pretty obvious. But other apps, like you can see in here, Facebook, they put one in there for me. The Channel 9 app, if you load that up, it will also do that every time they add a new video to Channel 9. It'll show up in there, which is about 8 every hour. But you can go in there and you can tell it, I don't want notifications from this app. I do, and I want it to vibrate. Or I do, and I want the text or whatever.
Yep.
So that's all pretty good. And then the other great thing is there's a shortcut to the all settings, which you seem to have to go into the settings all the time.
Yes.
And so I had it pinned on my, I probably still do. You have it pinned on my start screen, but now I can just go to the Notification Center.
Now, for Facebook, what do you use on the Windows? Do you use the Facebook app? Do you use the Notification Center?
I use the Facebook app, and then I've got it tied into the Notification Center.
Interesting to see.
Well, they got rid of Facebook. They got rid of the people stuff, so there's no Facebook native integration anymore.
So I've used forever the mobile Facebook web page.
Yep.
Just the whatever that is, and it makes me the happiest. I don't like the app. So
well, and so funny story with this. He has absolutely done that, but he was doing that back again when he was on Windows Mobile 6. So he didn't. It's not like he had a plethora of choices to go through and did a lot of research and double-blind studies and decided that the web page was the best way to go. That was the only option that he had.
A/B testing is the new cool thing to say. That's what I learned in my manager class.
So yeah, and I think you just kind of got used to it because we've all been that way. You get used to it one way. The app's good. Paul does bring up a good point that they kind of broke up the People Hub. Now they've got a native Facebook app.
Yeah.
Breaking up is hard to do apparently for Lori.
They wasn't hard for Microsoft, but you do have a Facebook app that you can do all this stuff with. You know, the thing where it sorts your news feed by the stories they want you to see instead of the stories in the order you want to see them every single time you go to Facebook.
Mine's been like for 3 days. Let's see.
Not anymore.
No, come on.
Get him, Mark Zuckerberg.
Drum roll here. We're going. Oh, let's not go there. Hold on, folks. We're going to find out.
Oh.
Viewing most recent. It's been there for like 4 straight days.
That's somebody's asleep at the wheel on Facebook.
I mean, I feel your pain. It happens about once a week for me, but
it's horrible.
I get about a week out of it.
Did I miss anything on the Notification Center that's...
No, that's about it.
So here's a really dumb one that I don't have a thing on. But I've got my lock screen.
Yep.
So I saw a little thing. If you look at this, it looks like my lock screen is kind of a blurred version of my start screen. It's actually not. I took a screenshot of my start screen and then used this app called Blur and blurred it out. So it just looks like it is. So that's kind of cool, huh?
Oh, the transparent tiles and live tiles.
Why? What was the point of...
Well, just because you have to have some kind of a thing. So Paul brings up another thing, and your old phone didn't have this. You can have live wallpapers behind, but instead of being like regular Windows where the wallpaper is behind and the buttons are on top, since there's so little space between buttons, if you have the live tile that's transparent, then the wallpaper shows up there, not in the back. It's got the whole parallax thing, so the tile text scrolls faster than the background. But that's kind of cool. Got that to look forward to.
See, I'm a fan. I got my Bing picture of the day.
That's a good one, too. Weather's also a good one.
And then so my computer desktop, I got the same thing going over here. I think.
Do you now?
Shut up.
Don't forget we've got the mic and everything attached to that table you're pounding on.
And so it hasn't changed.
Well, that's today's. Or was that yesterday?
That was yesterday's. That was Easter's.
But the great thing is you got a lot of options, so you can change all the start screen. But I've been playing with that, so I've got like a little marble background here. That's kind of nice. But the blur thing, that was another thing I picked up at WP Central. If you've got a Windows Phone 8.1, WP Central is a good place to get these tips.
Yeah, they've always got fun things.
Oh,
Yep.
all the phones get extra tiles.
Yes, that's another thing. So,
Makes it look like an iPhone.
yeah, your phone and our phones before last week could only have 2 big tiles across. Well, one big tile or 2 medium tiles or 4 small tiles.
Yep.
So for all phones, so Jared, if he's still in the chat room, he's got a 1520, which again is about as big as the screen on this laptop, a little bigger. I think it's a little wider that way. Huge screen, and he could have 3 columns essentially.
Yep.
And with Windows Phone 8.1, they added that for all phones. And it's kind of cool, kind of annoying the way they do it. You have to go into the settings and say, basically, make room for more tiles. And it takes the setting that you have and just shifts it over. So it doesn't change the way you've got it lined up. It just adds an empty 3rd column to the side. So you can kind of see where all mine are set up like that, because I just didn't.
You got an awful lot of stuff on there.
I do, and it's all good stuff. Wouldn't want to get rid of any of it. So that's good. And if you don't like it, just shut it off and switch it back. But I think the tiles are big enough. I've got a couple little ones, but
Yeah, I mean, it's very pretty sitting out here watching you scroll up and down.
you want to touch my phone, don't you?
Yeah.
You can't do it. Lori, what Windows Phone 8.1 features have rang your bell in the last week?
I can have different volumes for different things.
Yes. So with Windows Phone 8.0, you had volume. And if it was music or the phone ringing or whatever, it was volume.
Yep.
Now in 8.1, they've got individual volumes for a bunch of stuff, which is cool and not cool all at the same time, because you can think you're making it quiet for everything, and then you open up some game and it blares at you because the game volume is different than whatever. That's going to take some getting used to. But I do like that. That's good. And then the quiet time is another thing that kind of figures into that. So you can set in, I think it's in the Cortana settings, but you can set quiet time. So you can say, my phone shouldn't ring after 11 or before 8. No phone calls, no text messages, nothing, no noise, except my inner circle of trust. And so you can put people in there. So like if you call, my phone won't ring, but if Paul calls, it will. So that's a real setting. So that's kind of cool that you can do that. So and I did verify this morning that alarms do not recognize that. So my alarm didn't go off during my quiet time.
I made sure of that too.
I was and the quiet time is cool. You can do it by time. You can do it you can say whenever I'm in a meeting, put it on quiet time, which is kind of cool. And then there's just a button at the top that says right now, quiet time.
You can only do one time.
Yes, you can only do one time, so you can only say
like a Monday on this time.
Yeah, or you can't say from 2 to 3 and 5 to 6. You can say you can put one. But for most folks, it's at night, and it's pretty good. So that's kind of nice. That's
Oh, and you can turn vibrate off now. So when you have it on mute,
oh
you
yeah,
can now actually have your phone not vibrate.
So that was one thing with Windows Phone 8. You had silent, but like Paul said, it always vibrated. So you couldn't not. Whatever. But yes, you can shut that off now too. So somebody on Twitter here last week, after I can't remember which announcement it was, but we had the Windows Phone or Windows 8.1 update come out, and SQL 2014, a bunch of stuff, and then the Windows Phone stuff. They're like, Microsoft's kind of got their big boy pants on. They're ready to go. They're not. They kind of took some shots here in the last couple of years, and this whole last couple of months they came out swinging. So it's a good time to be here.
Yeah, when there are price cuts with Azure and Amazon, right? Those guys are and a dead heat for who can charge zero the fastest.
Yep. Who will make it to zero first?
I've actually changed my guess there. I think they're gonna start paying people. I think they're going past zero to. If you use our cloud, we'll give you $1 a minute to use our cloud.
Every Azure VM you fire up is $1 right in your pocket.
That's where they're headed. It's pretty spectacular. I mean, for consumers, it's awesome, but I mean, it is just.
Yep. It's amazing, and being in rack space, we're kind of seeing a lot of that. But it's absolutely, they're just making the whole infrastructure and all that. Just it's funny. So my wife works at a startup. The company's 4 or 5 years old, and they don't have a server room. Which to a guy like me, I've been doing this computer nerd stuff for 20 years now. I've been working in server rooms my whole life. Her company is 5 years old. They built a new building like 2 years ago, and they didn't put in a server room because they don't need it. They don't have any servers. It's all in the cloud. That's just insane to me. I mean, I know that that's the case, but she said, well, we don't really have a server room. We've got a room where our phone switch is. Yep. But it's too big because all it has is a phone switch in it. I mean, it's like a closet, but it's too big because all it needs is that one thing. So they store stuff in there.
It's a mentality thing, right? Because you look at the Cincinnati office for Rackspace, right? We hold 25 people, maybe. We've got 3 server racks in a room. We've got a data center, or not a data center, but a server room right there for our little bitty office of 25 people.
Yep. But so we talked to Robert Scoble a couple years ago when we were out here.
Yeah.
He interviews. I watch some of his interviews, and he's always interviewing startups and that kind of stuff. They don't even think about IT anymore. They don't think about server rooms. Like I said, it's the mentality. They just don't do it. It's all in the cloud, and that's so. Amazon and Microsoft and all those guys are definitely making that more attainable.
You've got to figure at some point it's going to correct itself a little, though, right? One of these startups with no server rooms going to get an SEC audit or something, come crawl up their backside and realize that they don't have the assets that they're supposed to have, At some point, there's going to be, the disconnect's going to be figured out that...
I'm with you. And again, this is it's a mindset thing. I've been doing the IT thing for a while. And I'm with you that at some point there's going to be, I keep thinking there's going to be some security thing so egregious that everything's going to come back inside. And they keep one-upping me. They keep showing me. We can break the very infrastructure of security, and 3/4 of the SSL sites out there can be, and we're just going to keep on keeping on.
That's because all the Microsoft stuff stayed up.
Yeah, Microsoft used their own SSL stack, and we were all safe. But that's the heartbleed thing for those of you that haven't seen it. A lot of open source stuff and a lot of stuff in general used an SSL stack from OpenSSL. Turns out it had a pretty nasty buffer overflow that led to a lot of stuff getting eaten out. But all the Microsoft products use Microsoft's SSL stack, and nothing to worry about. But
there was no complaints. There was no. People were upset. There wasn't like this roar.
But people were mostly upset because of why? Had changed their passwords everywhere. Because everybody, Twitter and Facebook and Yahoo and everybody had been using OpenSSL, so people were the most pissed that they had to change their passwords.
Yeah. NSA's got to find a new way to collect your password now. I mean, it's sad.
I got faith in them. I think they'll figure something out. Don't you feel bad for the NSA? I love you guys. Don't you feel bad about them at all? They'll a lot of smart folks there. They'll muddle through.
Yeah, that's good.
But I'm with you. I keep thinking of something. There was the Target breach and all that. I keep thinking at some point something's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, people stopped stopping at Target for a week, maybe 2. Right back to it. I need my toilet paper and my underwear, and Target it was.
So I don't know, but that service being so free, so easy to use, that it's almost silly not to run your stuff there.
I don't get it.
So, anything else you want to add before we move on to the shameless self-promotion?
No. Well, I was going to throw you another bone. So, since I can't say orange, and you've called that out, had a lot of fun with that. The other word I can't say,
so now he can't. He's going to try to say it wrong, and he can't.
Is poem.
Yes.
I don't know.
Use that in a sentence for the people out there who have no idea what you just said.
In school, I learned to write a poem.
I thought you said porn.
Apparently, I'm supposed to say like poem. Is that it? Is it poem?
Well, it's got 2 syllables in most.
Poem.
That's exactly what I said. You got it.
So, orange and poem.
So if somebody wrote a poem about oranges, you'd just be screwed.
I say it fine. You threw us at me.
That's right.
There's an entire state, and people can legitimately prove that Georgia is a state that speak the way I do.
One of the first ones.
Yeah, 13.
Yep, one of the first.
But Iowa, whatever the hell that is.
Oh, that this poem is the other good one.
All right, so I'll let you go on your shameless promotions, but
so obviously SP TechCon, we're here.
Yep.
The fun and the frivolity starts tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, you and I are doing an upgrade session.
Yes.
3 hours of nothing but upgrade.
2 hours and 45 minutes. Let's not get too overstretch it.
And that's going to be great. I'm looking forward to all that. It's popular demand. So our upgrade session at SP TechCon or SPC.
Yep.
Fairly well received.
It was not bad.
Yeah, I don't know how public all the numbers are, but we did pretty well. That was a pretty good one. So we're going to bring that here, but with an extra hour and 45 minutes of stuff.
Filler material.
Yeah. Yes. So that is how you would spell that. So Naomi's mentioned the way Shane mispronounces poem would be spelled P-O-H-M. Poem.
I made up my own word.
Yeah, that's
Poem.
I can only imagine your pride. And then we're doing the Netcast live, obviously. Thursday morning, we're doing a session on admin stuff and PowerShell.
Yep.
Well, two separate sessions. One's in the afternoon. I forget what order they're in. But so we've got those 3 things going on. So that's a good time. Then next month, we're going to Tech Ed.
Sunny Houston in the middle of summer.
Beautiful. Sunny Houston in May. And we're going to be doing an all-day thing on Sunday, May 11th, because Tech Ed is the 12th through the 15th. But on the 11th, on Sunday, Mother's Day. Did you realize you're going to be gone on Mother's Day?
No, my wife hasn't yet either, so I haven't gotten yelled at for it.
Fortunately, she doesn't watch this show, so you're... I've already started the mending process at our house, but...
I'll hit your mom up on Facebook right now.
Dear Mrs. Klindt. So we're doing our all-day install, config, all that jazz. Putting old Bessie here to work. And that's it, Tech. And then we're going to try to snag some other stuff. We'll see. I forgot to submit our sessions. We had a whole list of them, and I forgot to do that. So we don't have any regular breakouts. But I'm begging. I'm whining and crying.
Hey, you can work booth duty for 45, 50 hours that week.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that as well. Wearing my comfortable shoes, my heels, make my calves look sexy. So my wife is apparently watching the live stream, and for all of you who are worried about the state of my marriage, she just Skyped me and said she forgives me for being gone on Mother's Day. So, you're screwed, but I'm in good shape. You're out of luck. Buddy.
No, I'm gonna get Mary fired up over it. Then it's that's it. If Joe's gonna let you off the hook,
I'm done.
Mama Bear's gonna be mad.
I'm covered. And then June, nothing planned for June.
Thank goodness.
But in July, I'm going down to Australia and New Zealand. Gonna visit the hobbits and all that kind of stuff, the kangaroos. So the first week of that is the 15th and 16th of July, and that's at Sydney. And I'm going to be doing the Visual Studio session. They heard such great things about it from the SharePoint conference. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, and the best thing, so if you remember at the SharePoint conference, it was 75 minutes, and we didn't have enough time, 60 minutes in Australia. But they use the metric system down there, so I'm thinking that maybe we can...
The toilet flushes the opposite way.
I'm going to use that. I don't know which way, yeah. But yeah, so I'm going to be doing that one, and then a PowerShell session. New twist on this one, though. All SharePoint Online. No on-prem PowerShell. Not allowed.
All 13 commandlets.
Every one of them. We're going to spend 4 minutes on each of them.
You go, girl.
Yep. So I'm going to be doing those in Sydney, and then run around there, maybe climb that harbor bridge thing, do all that kind of stuff, run with kangaroos. And then the next week I'm going over to Auckland, New Zealand, and do the whole thing over again, except I'm going to run with hobbits over there.
Mount Fort, whatever.
Yes. Whatever.
I'll mess up some more words.
You will. It'll be awesome. So, yeah, and I think that's all I've really got on the books for the rest of the year. But there's more stuff coming up. That's what I think we got. Any parting notes? Let's assume this is actually a recording, and at some point will be viewed by people.
Thanks for having me, right? The polite thing to say. Thanks for all the Windows Phone tips.
Yep.
Thanks for mocking my poor English.
An honor just to be nominated, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you make fun of my grammar-wise hype. You make fun of my enunciation when I speak. What if I learn a sign language? Am I going to have like a crook in that too? Or you be like,
You'll screw that up somehow. You'll find a way. Yeah.
get your elbows down. Your elbows down.
You find a way. I have faith in you.
All right.
So that's good. So I think we'll kind of wrap this up. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the chat room. You guys were very patient, and we'll have the chat room open for a little bit, so don't run off just yet. But thanks. You need to eat some lunch or something. That's
Onion rings.
Some onion rings. Don't have the onion rings. Can't say enough about that. But thanks, everybody, and I will we'll see you next week. We'll do 198. I promise it'll go better. We'll have a nice fancy background. His ugly mug won't be here. That's nothing but positive. So, I sign off, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See ya.